Welcome to another episode, Pound for Pound Boxing Report, episode 185. I'm your host, Michael. Joining me this week, Gail from Communities Digital News, Jacob from Jab Hook Boxing, Scorsese. What's going on, ladies and gents?
Hey, it's a midweek edition. We're here.
Yep. Sorry for those who may be watching Empire. Had to do the show this night. It is what it is. For those who are new to
What
Pound for
DVRs are for, man.
yeah, that's true.
No, but for our friends, no spoilers. No spoilers. Don't do that to us.
Yeah, for those who are new to Pound for Pound Boxing Report, Pound for Pound Boxing Report is a live YouTube show as well as podcasts and blogs discussing all things boxing. When boxing is good, we will talk about it. And when boxing is bad, we'll talk about it. And we got a little bit of both on this particular episode. Bottom line is, when it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. If you want to find out all information regarding the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, one main place you want to go to, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com is the link. Check the right of the blog page. You will find links to our pages and channels on Facebook, G+, Tumblr, Twitter. Also links to where to listen to the Pound for Pound Box Report on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, as well as Mixcloud. Let's get the show started tonight. Start with the good. Let's start with the good. About that took place in, I want to say, Inglewood or LA, West Coast.
Inglewood.
I'm sorry, yeah. Inglewood. Jorge Linares defending his WBC belt at 135 against Luke Campbell. Linares winning by split decision, 115, 112, 114, 113. The cards in his favor, 115, 113 for Campbell. I'll start with ladies first, and I want to begin with this discussion here by kind of giving an apology to Luke Campbell, who fought a well of a fight. I have to give him credit. I thought once Linares kind of did his thing, would start to do his thing, and start to put it on Luke Campbell would not be able to hang for 12 rounds. But after Campbell got knocked down in round two, he got up, he dusted himself off, and slowly but surely crept his way back into the fight. Terrific contest, high level of skill exhibited by both men. I thought Linares edged it out because of the knockdown and because of the strong 12th round. But I couldn't push back against those who feel that Luke Campbell won. He fought that well. Outstanding fight. I've been watching it multiple times since. I look at that fight, that's artistry to me. That's one of the reasons why I love boxing. I wouldn't mind these two fighting a rematch. I was just impressed and just really enjoyed myself. Really enjoyed watching this fight. Terrific effort by both men, Gail.
I absolutely agree. And it's one of those interesting fights. You're absolutely right that Luke Campbell's stock went up quite a bit, despite the fact he lost, because he did such a good job. He adjusted in the ring. He hung in there. It's real easy to get discouraged once you've crawled off the canvas. And oh, by the way, you've got a pretty big cut on your right cheekbone and things aren't looking good. And after the fight, Campbell said that he had double vision out of that eye for the entire rest of the fight, which is a very interesting comment in retrospect. So due credit to him for making it that interesting of a fight. But it did raise a question in my mind about why Linares couldn't close the show. Was it completely because of Campbell's efforts? Was it the inability on the Linares side of the ledger to get it done? Or was it a little bit of a mixture of both? And I'm not sure what the recipe was. And I'm not sure if I watched it again, I'd still know for sure. I don't think we'll know for sure until we see both of them fight again, which makes me want to see both of them fight again. But it was a very solid, entertaining fight. And it proves that it doesn't always have to be a brawl to be a really intriguing, interesting fight to watch. Lots of give and take. The narrative was back and forth, and all due credit to Campbell, who I think is the one that came out really with the better reviews, only because expectations for him were so low that everyone's saying, you know, he's made us something good. Now, Jacob, I believe, was there. Am I right, Jacob, that you were there for the fight?
No, I had tickets, but I didn't make it.
Oh, that stabbed through the heart. Well, Jacob, unfortunately, you were not alone in not being there. I wasn't able to make it either, so I was watching on a feed. There were only 4,100 people and change in the forum for this fight. The card lost 2 undercards, including the co-main event, which is a real ugly little story. And so there were only 5 fights on the entire card at the forum that night, which is that was just simply a shame and super bad timing.
I'll go to you, Scorsese. Did you see the fight? If you did, your impressions of the fight. Gail mentioned maybe 2 scenarios that could be possible that coexist at the same time. Was it a case of Campbell being better than expected? Is it a case of Linares maybe disappointing in the fact, as Gail said, he didn't finish the show? Your overall thoughts?
I just say going into the fight, I felt like Luke Campbell had a better shot than what people was giving him, and I respected what he was doing. It's a lot of mandatory sometimes that, and champions, when they are champions, they say things like, "I'm not ready." It's mandatory to step aside. He took his shot even when people felt like he had no shot, and that alone made me feel like, yo, Luke Campbell's not coming in this fight thinking it's a, it's game to him. Like it's just he's an opponent and a victim. And I felt like if he was aggressive with Linares going forward, he could control the pace and the space with Linares, and that could give problems. But he did it in a different way. He got on the back foot, but he didn't do the Fury. He didn't do the Hughie Fury. He threw punches repeatedly, and a lot of those punches was focused to the body of Jorge Linares. He threw 100 more punches, is more volume. His only mistake at times, and it cost him in the second round. It's a Pacquiao opponent mistake too. They see that straight right hand or straight left hand of Pacquiao or Linares, either one, and they consider spinning out and checking it with a hook. But you time it up, you try to time it so perfectly, but you're playing with fire until they gas out. He got a little too right hook happy, and that right hand laid his ass out. And I can't remember the second. I didn't rewatch the fight, but I can't remember why it wasn't finished or not. I'm thinking Campbell got up, and I thought he fought. I thought he did good after he got up, and I thought he was actually winning the round before he got knocked down. But the main thing to me for this fight was he did a lot of controlling based on the body work he was doing. Jorge Linares put basically pot shots together coming forward, just one shot at a time, because Luke Campbell was doing something that was old school. Seen him coming, and he started digging as soon as he was doing it. And Linares got hip to that. Linares' jab, I thought it was a little overrated, but I didn't have a problem with the fight going either way. I'm glad it was a good fight. HBO picked up a good fight that nobody seemed to want. Props to them. I don't think they're going to do it again, but hey, they did Crowler again. So maybe they might. I don't know what the adjustment may be. Maybe that Luke Campbell doesn't try to time up the right hook when Linares is fresh and too fast for damn near anybody in boxing. But yeah, overall, a damn good fight. That's all I can say.
Your thoughts, Daniel? You're on mute, Daniel. Unmute. There you go.
Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic when you saw it going in, because it's true. Nobody really gave Luke Campbell much of a shot but mainly the way how he suffered his first loss and just how fast Linares is, both with his feet and with his hands. But as was pointed out, I think like various times on HBO, he's an Olympic gold medalist for a reason. And he was able to, in his own way, get the distance and get the footing where he can counter Linares at times and still be effective, knowing full well you're probably going to lose the hand speed battle. And he was doing more and more of it throughout the fight. Now, there wasn't a point, unfortunately, where he had Linares in legitimate trouble. The only difference in the major fight was that knockdown. And I say you got to give credit to his corner too, because that cut looked really, really bad. If they didn't take care of that away, that would have been a different fight in a way. But corner took care of the cut. Luke Campbell kept himself poised, like I said, in his own way, maneuvered to counter Linares, knowing full well he wasn't going to win the hand speed battle. He's going to get a lot of props, especially after, like, I think a couple hours after the fight was announced. People find out that his father died 2 weeks prior. He's going to get a lot of props. I don't know whether or not the fight will be made again. It would be nice to make it again. I could see Linares because he's getting, even though there wasn't that much difference in age, Luke Campbell is a very, very late bloomer as far as coming into the pro ranks. I could definitely see Linares just saying, okay, I can't wait anymore. I need my big fights. I need Mikey Garcia. I need Robert Easter. I need these guys so I can make my legacy. But it was a very good, very entertaining fight for the lone live card on HBO, and both guys came out great. Linares, like I said, this is, I think, probably for the second fight in a row, didn't get majorly cut. And Campbell, like I said, made a good, really, really good accounting for himself. And it would be really, really nice, like I said, to see them again. I don't think it will happen again, but it really would be nice to see them again.
We'll talk the future of Linares in a bit. I see what you need is joining us. Thanks for joining us on the show. I just jumped to you right here, right now. We're talking Jorge Linares, his win over Luke Campbell. Were you surprised by what Campbell did? You guys, you're a brother who likes skill and technique and subtlety and nuance when you're watching the sport, when you study fighters. I really enjoyed the fight. I don't want to speak for you, but I'm guessing basically you enjoyed what you was watching as well.
Absolutely. He had what I liked was his mentality, when after he got dropped in the second, I think he came back, he was a live dog in the fight.
Gail asked earlier that she pondered whether this was Campbell really being really good, but she was also asking whether there was some disappointment in Linares because after he put him down, he essentially couldn't close the deal. He had trouble getting to Campbell really into the last couple of rounds when he really stepped it up and closed the show like a champ. Your thoughts on that?
Well, if you looked at Zurdo Ramirez versus
Hart.
Yes, Hart. You saw somewhat of a similar fight, kind of, not really, but in terms of skill, though, Luke Campbell, he's a gold medalist, right? He has a good amateur pedigree. He lost to, I forgot the opponent he lost to in the pros, but I think it was, he lost to an opponent in the pros. But when he faced off against Jorge is very, very skilled. Okay. If you paid attention, Jorge was working the body, not only Luke. Luke was, Luke had some success going to Jorge's body, but for the most part, he didn't really have that much success as we think, but he was a live dog in the fight because he never gave up. Mentally, he actually, after getting dropped, he made a mistake in his pivot. That's why he got lit up. But he was live in the sense that he realized, oh, I could really handle this guy. You know, I could handle this level. So I believe he was kind of nervous on the stage in the beginning. That's why he got dropped. He made a mistake and he got dropped. And then after that, he started to fight, and he was improving as the fight went on. But I don't believe Linares did anything that showed me that he was not impressive. He was a true professional. Even though you drop someone early in a fight doesn't mean you can finish them. So when he realized he couldn't finish him, and that he had certain skills that he was using and going to Linares' body sometimes, even though Linares would pretty much brace for it. So he would, you know, and Linares is pretty good at bobbing and weaving and all that stuff. So it was really good to see all of that. But I still think that Linares basically outclassed him, that it wasn't as close as people thought it was. You know, it was to a certain degree competitive because Luke was a live dog. He never gave up in the fight, but it wasn't to the extent where it was like people are saying it was this close fight. It wasn't close at all. You know, but his mentality was one in which he had stepped up to this higher level and he was able to compete at that higher level, and that's going to give him a lot of confidence, you know. But in terms of the fight, I'm actually looking at it right now. You know, Luke, he has the range and everything, but Linares was able to get past that range by constant head movement. And even when Luke counterpunches him with, say, for instance, a shot that looks like it's going to the body, Linares is parrying it away or he's blocking it with his two hands. But as the fight progressed onwards, Linares has still very innovative with his jabs and his hooks and but he's having a little bit more difficulty landing on Luke. Luke is able to maintain distance a little bit more. So I think Luke just had a bit of nerves stepping up on the big stage. And as he started to fight with Linares, he got more confidence, made less mistakes, fell into his own, he was there. He was a live dog. He wasn't as competitive as people will make you think, because Linares is stealing a shot to the body. He's blocking the shots and he's coming back with lead rights and jabs to the body. He really worked the body of Luke. And Luke tried to maintain range, distance. So he wasn't trying to fight him on the inside, he was trying to fight him on the outside. But Linares would still get into the inside, feinting jabs and slipping punches and then getting to the inside. So it was a tactical battle to some degree. But Linares was basically the guy who was walking Luke down, and he still had the tactical advantage throughout. I don't think it was so much speed as it was timing. It was timing. And something I try to explain to people is when you have the ability to slip a jab, when you have the ability to nullify a jab, that gives you a big advantage in boxing, because a lot of textbook boxers learn that the jab is the fundamental punch you throw. So if you're someone who doesn't have to throw a jab to set up your opponent and to do things, you have an extra advantage over other opponents. So that's what I have to say about that.
We're going to go into the future for Linares specifically, but I want Jacob, your quick thoughts on this fight.
So yeah, I didn't get to go to. I had just come back from the East Coast, so I had tickets, but I had to kind of let those go. But to Gel's point earlier, you know, the card kind of fell apart. I mean, it wasn't very many fights, so. But I was entertained by the fight. I think you know, obviously Campbell's stock rises a little bit, but I think we all kind of knew he's a tough kid. He wasn't gonna. I don't think he was gonna lay down for anybody. But Linares kind of disappointed me because he's normally someone I see as like someone that could finish, and when he had him down in that second round, you know, I don't know. He seemed to take his foot off the gas a little bit. So I was, if anything, I was less impressed with Linares because I know he has he has skill. He had many advantages to Campbell, but Campbell, who seemed kind of nervous in the beginning part of the fight, seemed to kind of, assert himself a little bit better and eventually get some rounds in. But I didn't have it as close as other people had it. I thought Linares was winning most of the rounds, and as it was a competitive fight. It wasn't like, and what I mean by that, not it being close, is that Campbell was still throwing and making it a fight, but I don't think he was winning as many of the rounds as maybe some of the people were giving him. But I mean, it was an entertaining fight.
Sorry, I was on mute. Future for Linares here. After the fight, he called out Mikey Garcia. Looking forward to 2018, I'm just going to leave the discussion open for anybody to jump in and respond. Percentage of possibility that fight actually happens.
Well, you're going to have some hands across the promotional aisle, first of all, to get that done. I think if both guys are motivated, it's possible. But, it all rests on the question that I broached and that we've all discussed was that performance indicative more of Campbell's ability or Linares, getting a little long in the tooth perhaps, which is possible. He is a veteran of many fights, and as we have seen plenty of times, there are talented guys, especially in the smaller weight divisions, who literally seem to age overnight. And I'm not saying it is the case, if that is the case, it would be a good idea for Linares to get that fight while he can, fast, as fast as he can, while his skills are still at their best, if he thinks he's in a bit of a decline. That is a fight well worth seeing. I'd love to see it. I do think it's makeable. It's a good West Coast fight, LA fight. It's a perfect LA fight. And I think they'll try, but everybody's calling out Mikey Garcia right now. So I think Linares just needs to get in line.
Anyone else?
I don't think there's going to be as much of. Oh, go ahead, Jacob.
No, go ahead,
man. I'm this maybe be an optimist, but I don't think there's going to be as dramatic of a divide now as far as promotion issues that we've seen before when it comes to it, because both these guys wanted. Hell, Mikey Garcia even tweeted out, "Can we have the fight in December because I want to eat tamales for Christmas?" So there's
what he wants to be able not to worry about making weight.
Yeah, he's like, come on, let's make the fight in December.
Oh, I love that. Well, and you know what, Daniel? I mean, it's funny, but there's often truth behind jokes like that. If Garcia fought for a fight in December, it's who's going to step up first. Bring it on. Get in touch. Bring me up. Hit me up. You know where I live. Whoever wants it can get it. Whoever gets to me first.
Yeah, and to me, like I said, Linares is at the stage of his career where he's going to be thinking more about legacy. And he does have a pretty mixed legacy right now. He's known as a supreme talent that has learned late to put it all together with natural ability, but still, even now, like I said, he's known for a weak chin, and he's known to have paper-thin skin. If he gets a fight like Mikey Garcia said, if he can go after a Robert Easter, if he can try to get a Terry Flanagan, that goes a long way towards sealing your legacy as one of the best fighters of your generation.
If I was Campbell, I'll go for Flanagan.
Well, let's see. It's Matchroom versus Mike Warren. Yeah, that could actually happen pretty well. Frankly, any lightweight that's a good compass, you should go after Terry Flanagan. But that's probably what he's gonna look into. If I'm Campbell, yeah, I'll go after anybody because all you've done, even in the loss, is impress enough people to not only make you forget about that first loss. That first loss was pretty bad, but you also know that, okay, you can endure a knockdown, you can endure a cut now, and blood and guts a lot of times is the British style. So
I would argue he's more than
both
that.
these guys have a pretty bright future.
I would argue he's more than that. He's a pretty good technical fighter as well. The one thing the one thing that really troubled Linares was the right hook, particularly the counter right hook. Linares had a stinking difficult time getting away from that counter right hook, particularly when he led. So that lets me know there's a degree of intelligence there. So I will push back. He has guts, he has heart, but there's some real technique and intelligence there too. The way he was able to come back in that fight, it was a combination of everything.
And he's long. He has a 71-inch reach. I mean, that's a lot of range. So people don't understand that if somebody can use their jab and use their length well and box on the outside, it's kind of hard to get on the inside. Even though you can slip jabs and stuff, it's still hard to get on the inside. So what you were looking at, actually, he made a mistake. His mistake was pivoting too early. Remember Chris Algieri, Manny Pacquiao, where they just he pivoted before he snapped back, so he got caught. Well, that's what happened with him. So it was a flash knockdown. It wasn't he wasn't hurt so badly that he couldn't perform, and that woke him up. And a lot of times when a fighter wakes up, they're like, oh, okay, I touched the canvas. Okay, now you actually have the fight. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And so Linares actually handled that really well as a champion. He didn't get discouraged and lose the fight. He just kept his composure and kept on doing what he was doing and adjusted where necessary. So that was actually pretty impressive, in my opinion. I just want to say that I think Mikey Garcia is a little too big for lightweight. You know, I think he should move up in weight, but it's up to him. I don't know what he's going to do.
The problem is all for the good guys at 140. That's my concern about him. And can he carry that power up to 140 and still concuss dudes like he's been doing at 26, 30, and 35? We still don't know.
Well, he was fighting Adrian Broner, who's a guy who can hit very hard and could take a pretty good punch. You remember Adrian Broner campaigned at a certain time at welterweight. So Mikey Garcia was keeping that guy at bay. So I think he's carried his power up, but we have to find. I think it was
more about Broner, what he refused to do. Broner could have and should have done a lot more.
But Broner respected that power. That's what I'm saying. He respected the power. He didn't steamroll through Mikey. So Mikey carried something up. And Broner's not a guy that gets knocked out. Nobody's ever knocked out Broner. They've dropped him.
True, but my thing is though, what you need. Look at what Broner did to Garcia in round 9. After what he went through and all that. How come he didn't do that from jump, and how come he didn't continue to do that? Because in round 10, at the beginning of round 10, he started to do it, and then all of a sudden he stopped for some reason.
Because Garcia hit him. Garcia kept on hitting him with that right.
I would argue that as much had to do with him and a lack of will than it was with Garcia.
Oh no, Broner was feeling those punches. Garcia hits hard. A lot of people told he fought Marcos Maidana and all these guys. Garcia is a big dude, by the way. I don't think he walks around. I don't think he walks around 135 or anywhere near that.
Broner.
I still question whether Garcia has the power that Maidana does at that higher weight, because Maidana can punch at that higher weight.
No, but Maidana was a beast. I mean, he was a pure super lightweight, and then he went up to welterweight.
And my point is, even after getting knocked down by Maidana twice, Broner fought back hard.
Exactly.
He didn't fight. He could have fought hard in this fight when he didn't get with the kind of titanic shots that he got hit with by Donna.
Yeah, Broner's fine with losing at this point. He's fine with. He's telling you, even if I lose, you'll come see me. It's no. I agree with Mike on this. He's basically saying I can get hit, you'll still come see me. He's just fine with losing at this point.
Right.
Mikey Garcia fought a good fight, but Broner wasn't. Broner did not show up to the point that nobody wants to see him again.
It's getting there, though.
Broner only lets his hands go when he's outside the ring.
No, I want to say this. Sean Porter, when Sean Porter came at Broner, remember, this was at welter. It was a catch weight at welter, okay? And Porter was bringing the pressure on Broner. It wasn't that, trust me, man, these are hard punches. And every time you get hit with something hard, he remembers Marcos Maidana. So I think that's what happened there. And I think Mikey Garcia just reminded him of Marcos Maidana once again. These are not soft punches. Mikey Garcia is not a soft puncher. I don't think so at all. And Broner's been in with welterweights. And now this little guy who comes up from lightweight, he's manhandling you, hitting you with rights to your body and your head and rattling him. You could see he was rattling. He get buzzed a little bit. So Mikey hits hard. That's the only reason Adrian Broner would respect him. Otherwise, you run straight through that boy. He'd have run through him. Now he hits hard. I
take your point. But you know, we all can agree to disagree on that, and that's what makes it. That's what makes the show. You know,
we'll see Mike. We'll see.
I just want to see him. I just want to see him in more than one fight at that weight.
No problem. But what I'm saying is, we'll see Mikey against another 140-pounder, and we'll see how they fare, right? And then we'll know. You know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. We talked about the good here in terms of Linares and Campbell. Let's just go ahead and go to the bad. Joseph Parker, Hughie Fury. You know what? I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. I mean, I had it on. It got to a point I was halfway paying attention to it. I began focusing more on the Clemson game. Hughie Fury, he fought like he didn't want to fight. He tried to fight like Tyson, but not nearly as good. Joseph Parker, I still don't know what he was trying to do in there. Again, I'll just leave it up to y'all to comment because I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing.
I'll talk about it. I don't blame Joseph Parker. He came to defend his belt. He went to another man's backyard, and that other man fought as if he wanted to get a hometown decision or just have some kind of compromise that, hey, what I did was acceptable, even if I didn't win. The decision was bad. You know, he just wanted. I don't know what. I can't explain that kind of. I flick, I flap, I hold, I grab. The referee was ridiculous. I don't blame Joseph Parker for any of this. Joseph Parker did what he needed to do. He attacked that man. He cut the ring off at points. Yes, it was harder to do. Hughie Fury was fleet of foot, but so what? He got there at times. He started putting a jab to the chest and the body, sort of like Derek Chisora does. I appreciated that. I was more impressed with that than anything Hughie Fury was doing, except for maybe a right hand once every round, maybe twice every round. I had no problem with the judges banging him in the head with the 118 scorecard because he didn't put a seal on anything. He didn't put a seal on nothing. If you're gonna go backwards, you need to be almost unhittable. And you saw when Hughie Fury started landing that. Parker started landing that overhand right. That boy didn't want none. He didn't want none. I don't know. We could say Parker can't punch for heavyweights, but let's say if he did, that guy would have been knocked out, and he still didn't want none, even though he supposedly can't punch. Fine with 118 twice. I don't care if they had it 3 times. You fight like that, you don't deserve a damn thing. People shouldn't be comparing him to anything except for himself and telling him look in the mirror and change it, because what he did was horrible. It was nothing to it. He didn't control a man with a jab. He didn't jab the. Everybody wants to be Floyd Mayweather, but nobody wants to take center ring for 30 seconds and then jab the man's stomach. Right hand to the man's stomach. Left hook, count a check left hook. They can't do it the same way, and it's almost like Mayweather watered the game down because he was too good for them to beat him, but they continuously try. Joseph Parker, 118, still the champion in my opinion. I don't blame him for none of this.
You can't blame him for anything.
Like I said, anyone else? Because again,
you really can't blame him.
I got absolutely nothing.
First, the only way you can put it is somebody had to win that thing. It wasn't to me as egregious as Saunders Monroe, but somebody had to win that thing. And Hughie, I do think, made the mistake saying that that maybe if I fight like my cousin, I'll be able to win because that worked against Klitschko. The problem is that was against a Klitschko that didn't look like he was there. This was a good Joseph Parker that, yes, he has short arms for the division. And yes, we've seen him be outskilled at times. But if you don't give him anything to think about, he's going to come at you. He's going to come at you with overhand right. He's going to come at you with body shots, which is what he slowly started to do throughout the fight. The ultimate irony is that one of those 118, 110 scorecards came from the very referee that Duco Promotions was bitching about. Where they were worried that he was going to be more favorable to Hughie. And he wound up getting that score to Parker. It's like I said, it was somebody just had to win that thing. That's all we got to put it. Somebody had to get the W. I'm glad that the right man got the W because it did look like Hughie was expecting that UK home cooking, and well, that home cooking doesn't come for travelers, apparently.
Oh my God! I just want to say, Joseph Parker 10-2. I thought that Fury scraped by with rounds 4 and 6. If you're going to use a jab, I mean, there are many different purposes for the jab, right? If you're going to use a jab, you need to at least land it. You know what I mean? At least once, at least. This guy's putting out his jab.
Land it. Throw it like you want to. Throw it like you mean it. Throw it like you actually want to use it.
He's flicking. But
he was half-assing all night long with the jab.
But he's not touching anything with the jab. Like, he's so far away, and it's like. Anyway, that's Hughie. That's Hughie Fury, right? So I want to talk about Joseph Parker, right? Because this wasn't Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury actually hit Vladimir Klitschko. He actually hit him with the jab. He turned it into a hook or something, right? Hughie Fury was doing the same thing over and over. He would circle the ring going clockwise. Then he would go back anti-clockwise as if you're playing a game of catch. And then he'd circle back clockwise, all right? So what happened was Joseph Parker saw the pattern, and every time Hughie Fury would go clockwise, he'd just time him, wait. Here comes the anti-clockwise movement. Bam, jab to the body, right? So he couldn't cut off the ring on Hughie Fury because he didn't know how to get to the inside. So he was lunging coming in. Oh, God. And the skill level of both guys is so limited that it really had me. I was wondering. I fell asleep the second time I tried to watch the fight. Like you, I just, it was underwhelming. But I would say this. The reason why I give the fight to Joseph Parker is because nobody's really throwing anything of substance. So we have to go to the aggressor versus the non-aggressor. We can't talk about effective aggression because there's none of that in this fight. There's no effective punches.
I mean, Harold Letterman would have the most difficult time. I'm just saying.
This fight is funny, man. There are no effective punches landed, really. Joseph Parker's too sloppy. These windmill right hands. Hughie Fury's kind of slightly blocking them. Fury came with some sharp uppercuts once, but that was once every 6 rounds. Oh my God. Yeah. So anyway, the fight was one in which there wasn't much skill involved, and so it became kind of monotonous. But I would say that based on the fact that Joseph Parker was the aggressor and Fury wasn't ineffective, he was supposed to be a counterpuncher, but I didn't see. It was more of a game of repetitive, monotonous, trying to circle the ring. and trying to outsmart Joseph Parker and circling the ring, but he's not really effective in doing that because Joseph Parker still hits him to the body. So it's like two guys who are ineffective in doing anything, and you just have to pick one. And like somebody said, Joseph Parker was the guy who's the aggressor. So we, by default, most of the rounds, he go to him. That's kind of how it goes.
In short, you have to give it to him by default just because he did a little something. That's it.
Well, yeah, because by aggressor,
He was the aggressor.
Yeah, but by aggressor, we're defining aggressor by he was moving forward. I mean, that's about as much definition as there was. Honestly, I would have rather watched two Real Housewives slapping each other. It was that bad. And if I am any other belt holder in the heavyweight division, I'm all over Parker because he seems ripe for the picking.
I mean, I'm just saying, look, supposedly the word is that they're trying to make Parker and Anthony Joshua summer 2018.
Well, fine, because Josh will kick his ass. It'll be ugly. And Joseph Parker is going to have to re-examine his career and his approach very, very seriously. He was touted as the next big thing in the heavyweight division. And ever since then, I have been hard-pressed to see it. And maybe he's one of those guys that he fights up or down to the level of his opposition. And I hope that's true because once he gets in with somebody with demonstrated talent, I think it'd be a tremendously ugly fight on Parker's end if that isn't the case. So let's hope not. And let's hope they go back and take a look at this fight back in the gym and recognize it for as ugly as it was. It did neither guy any favors.
Shocker. Another Fury fight that was boring.
And that's all he got. Let's move on to some other boxing matters, some other recaps. I wish Bo from Truth and Facts was here because I was going to give him the floor to talk about Dorticos and Kudryashov. Part of the World Boxing Cruiserweight Tournament took place in San Antonio. Didn't see it on television, but you could go to the World Boxing Series site and you could watch it there. And wow, I felt Dorticos would win. I didn't expect him to blast and just outright body Kudryashov in the manner he did. Kudryashov is flawed, of course, but still, you have to give Dorticos credit for doing what he did. Yeah, and that the way he finished it with the right hand, it literally had Kudryashov's eyeballs bouncing in his head. Wow. I'll go to you first, Jacob, if you saw the fight, your impressions of that candidate for a knockout of the year.
Yeah. What's his name? Was it how do you say his last name?
I probably
Kudryashov or whatever his name is. He looked like he had the Stevens look when Triple G knocked him down. The old like kind of where am I? I mean, it was a I think Bo had even mentioned it on the previous show that whatever his name, I'll just call him Curd.
Really?
Curd the Turd.
Give him another name than Curd.
No. Kudryashov.
Yeah.
Kudryashov. Russian. I'll just call him Curd the Turd. So he had been stopped before, and he didn't seem to have that good of a chin. He's got good power, but it seemed like once Dorticos felt his power, he basically took over the fight. And then when he hit him with that, I think it was a right hand. He hit him like right in the perfect spot, like towards the temple area, and it was over. I mean, the guy, he looked like he was in another planet. So I mean, it was an entertaining fight for as long as it lasted, and I am interested in Dorticos to see like what he does next. I mean, he can hit. He's got some good movement. It looks like he can take some shots, or he does a good job of covering up. So I'm interested to see him move throughout this excellent and loaded tournament.
I'll just open up the discussion for anyone else who want to talk about this Dorticos' win. And he said after the fight that he wants Gasayev. Gasayev fighting Zwarzik coming up in October, coming up next month. Coming off of this knockout, what do you think Dorticos' chances are in this World Boxing Series cruiserweight tournament?
I'll take it. I think Gassiev get through the fight, and I think he's gonna get through it possibly by KO. But he's gonna suffer the same fate as the Hammer did. This dude does not respect this Dorticos fella. He don't. From what I saw, he ain't respecting power. He's a head puncher, a body puncher, and he brings those punches back. He stands there with you, and he has it out, and he has a longer range than Gassiev. I think it's pretty pronounced how much longer his range is over Gassiev. And I remember seeing Gassiev fight the Detroit native. I believe I can't remember the guy's name, but anyways, when that guy started letting his hands go, Gassiev would just go high guard, not breaking the range, just taking the shots wherever he could. With Dorticos, that's a problem because he's gonna unleash from where you can't touch him to what he's gonna bring those punches back, so that makes it harder. And he's already further back than you are. Gassiev, I think, gonna get stopped by Dorticos, and that's not because Gassiev's not a good tough fighter, but I just feel like from what I saw in the Lebedev fight as well, Lebedev refused to go to the man's body, but when he did, he had success with it. Gassiev kind of stepped away from him a few times. It was only like 3 body punches I remember Lebedev throwing. But this Dorticos, he's gonna throw several of them, and he's gonna throw them with mean intentions. Like he's definitely going to the final of this World Boxing Series for me. But he's gonna get to another level when he steps up and fight Usyk. That's just my thoughts on that.
Anyone else?
I agree with Scorsese. I think Dorticos could beat Gassiev, and I think he'll knock him out.
I think we're all looking toward a fight between Dorticos and Gassiev. I think it's going to be a war, but it almost doesn't matter because whoever wins is going to face Usyk, and that's it. That's it. But I think it'll be a very entertaining fight if we do get to see Gassiev and Dorticos. Gassiev is a young cruiserweight. He's only 23 years old. So sometimes those young guys, they'll surprise you because they don't know enough to be afraid yet. So we'll see what happens. And we'll be able to find out whether Gassiev can take a punch. And same for Dorticos, which is why it'll be so fun to watch.
Daniel, and then you finally what you need.
Yeah, that was vicious what he did to that poor guy, and yelled at him when he did it too, like one of those Dragon Ball Z punches in a way. But that and the way that he did it and the way he positioned it, like I said, it's good old standard Cuban schools fighting. And when a fight with Gassiev, what that Lebedev fight showed is if you take time, you can outskill Gassiev. He may out-tough you, but you may outskill him. And that may be the trick for Dorticos because Gassiev can throw a mean punch too. I probably would say out of those two, Dorticos wins just mainly based on experience and skill. But I wouldn't. He beats Gassiev. If it's like a blood and guts battle, then yeah, Usyk will have a pretty easy time then, because you don't recover from that with just a couple of months time. But if it's a show of skill, then it'll be an interesting fight between him and Usyk. And unfortunately, Usyk has shown that he may not have all the power like knockout when it comes to cruiserweight, but Dorticos just showed you that he does. It's going to turn into a fun event, and hopefully we don't have to rely on the website to watch it.
Oh, wrong.
Hopefully, at least in the finals, yeah. Hopefully, in the finals, we get a TV shot.
Were you able to catch the Dorticos knockout? What you need, and if so, your thoughts not only on the fight and how would you compare him to the other cruiserweights in the?
Well, I thought that he was trying to get that shot for a while. He was trying to land that shot on Kudryashov. Is it Kudryashov? Yeah. Okay, Dmitry.
We can go with that.
We don't know. We don't know what his name is.
Man, I'm butchering this name. That's so bad. But yeah, he was trying to get that shot off. You know, the round before when he blew a kiss at the end of the round, he was actually trying to get that shot off. So he was doing 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 all the time to the guy's head. Then he would sometimes go to the body with a little jab to the body or a right to the spleen. But then he set up the shot. So he kept on blitzing him with the straight 1-2, and then he came with a 1. But then he threw. It's not a right hook exactly. It's a straight right, but he caught the guy on the side of the head, which means he pivoted slightly. He pivoted slightly to the guy's left, right, weak side, to get that shot off. But he was just bringing it. He was just bringing it with the guy. He was trying to get an exchange going. And first they were in close, and then he used his range. It was pretty good. A nice knockout. I saw it last week, and I talked to the Cuban School of Boxing brother who's on this show. Yeah, Bo. Yeah, he was all excited about that. So, but what I would say is concerning him and the other cruiserweights, I would say that he's good, but I don't know what his chances are against, say, Gasayev that you guys are talking about. I don't really know because he's shooting from range. You see what I'm saying? He shoots from range. His power comes from range. It doesn't come from in close or mid range. So I don't know what's going to happen with a fighter who can fight him up close. I would like to know what happens there. I would like to know what happens if a fighter is fighting him at mid range. You know, his thing is to fight way on the outside. What happens if I cramp him for space? I start smothering him so he can't get the full leverage into his shots. What happens then? I also notice he's kind of flat-footed. So all of these are questions you have to ask yourself when he matches up with a style that can move, especially there's subtle things in boxing, right? Nuances, like a guy will slightly change range on you. So you're not in your preferred range. And what smart boxers do is they test out where your preferred range is, which is why sometimes they throw a jab or they feint you or they let you throw your jab at them, etc. So depending on, clearly his preferred range is outside. That's where all his power is. But within that range, does he have that same power? So these are all questions you have to think about. He looked good against the other guy because he got him to get at his preferred range. He got him outside there, and then he did his thing. What happens when you're inside of that preferred range? So that's the kind of thing you have to think about when you're thinking of him matching up against Gasayev. Is a fighter who doesn't necessarily fight on the outside, right? He brings it coming at you. So that's where the question will be answered. So it's not as easy as people think, oh, he'll knock out Gasayev or I don't know. I don't know about that. You have to think about what exactly is the style you're dealing with that Gasayev brings to the table, what he's good at doing, and can Dorticos, can he keep him at the end of the preferred range he wants for preferred leverage to even pull that off? And is Gasayev, defensively, the things he does that nullify what Dorticos would be doing? So that's the kind of thing you have to think about. I'm not even talking about Usyk yet.
Let's move on to I mentioned the doubleheader on ESPN took place. In Tucson. Give me a quick second here. Oscar Valdez fighting Servania. Zerto Ramirez fighting Jesse Hart. I'm going to combine these two fights into one. Zerto Ramirez, solid performance against a Jesse Hart, who's, ironically enough, I think it was his heart and his toughness that pulled him through in this fight when he showed technical deficiencies from jump. He got knocked down early. He got hurt early. but he stood on his square, if you will, and stayed in there throughout. And I felt there were points, latter third of the fight, where he even got to Zurdo Ramirez with some shots. So you have to be impressed by that, as much as you could be by Gilberto Ramirez, the way he was able to overcome and just stick in there. Oscar Valdez, and I said this on Twitter, look, he's not close to being the best featherweight in the world. He's not. They talk of him possibly fighting. Put it this way, I wouldn't think he would beat Santa. I don't think he would beat Santa Cruz. I think Gary Russell Jr. would really find his way with him. They're talking about Frampton, possibly. I don't know if he beats Carl Frampton. But the thing is, even though Oscar Valdez is not the best out there, he puts on good fights. And really, that's what it comes down to, whether you want to see him on television, whether he gets ratings and whatnot. He puts on good fights, and that's what he did against Servania. I think rounds 4 and 5 were clearly the best rounds of the fight, where Servania hurt him, put him down, and yet Valdez dusted himself off on the following round later and put Servania down. Very good fight overall. But in watching this fight, to me, I'm thinking, while he's good, Oscar Valdez, there's nothing that I see of him that's elite. Kind of similar to what I saw from Jojo Diaz last week. So I'm gonna open it up for anybody who wants to talk about these two fights: Zurdo Ramirez, Jesse Hart, and Oscar Valdez versus Servania.
Jumping right in, I didn't see anything too elite from either Valdez or Ramirez, who have both been touted as the next great thing. Lots of excitement inside Top Rank Promotions after very good breakout performances from both of them, which are now getting to be a little bit distant in the rearview mirror. And we haven't seen it again. You know, in Ramirez's case, he had a great win over Arthur Abraham, surprisingly strong, much better than expected. And then, truly through no fault of his own, he had nearly a year layoff, rehabbing a broken hand. So his first fight back, okay, you could attribute that to ring rust. This is the second fight back. It was better, but it wasn't great. And that's a problem if we don't see the curve keep going up on Ramirez. I'll wait till he gets his third strike, and then I'm going to have issues. Valdez, he doesn't have quite the same excuse. He's been active, not super active, but active enough. Let's remember, before this past weekend in his previous fight, he had a hell of a hard time with Miguel Mariaga, who Vasyl Lomachenko played with like a cat and a dead mouse. I mean, it was ugly. And Valdez had tremendous trouble with him. This fight, better, again, like Ramirez, better, not great, not the flashes of brilliance that got us all excited in the first place. So, jury is out right now. These two need to do some serious stepping up. You are absolutely right, Michael. Neither of them is ready for an elite level fight. I think that given what we saw Friday, they'd be real embarrassed against the top guys in each of their divisions right now. So, a lot of rethinking needs to be done with both of them. Do they need to be more active? Do they need more tune-up fights? What's it going to take to get them back to what we saw? We know it's there. How do we get back out of both of them? Because they have the tools. They both have the personality. To his credit, one of the things that Zurdo Ramirez did in his year off, he decided, okay, well, if I'm not fighting, I'm going to spend the year off learning how to speak English. He did his post-fight interview in English. That shows me a lot about him as a person and what he wants. But, man, he's got to translate the skills in the ring or he's never going to get there. And same with Valdez.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hart deserves a little bit more credit because you could see him Well, first of all, he was just decided to. It doesn't matter what I'm going to face. I'm going to survive. I'm going the distance with this dude. He just refused to be knocked down. He just refused to be stopped. But you could tell from the last half of the fight, he started to do some subtle things in there, different approach to get to Zerto Ramirez. When I looked at the Servania fight, he basically did the same doggone thing all night long. And where was the real adjustments there from Oscar Valdez? When the fighter's doing the same thing, basically from jump, you should be able to see it adjust in kind, adjust and respond in kind. And yet, Servania, even though Valdez won, I thought he won rather comfortably. Servania kept hitting Oscar Valdez with the same shots. That was the troubling thing for me.
I,
Anybody else proceed?
yeah, I would go to Jesse Hart, and I want to say both guys when they got knocked down should have been stopped. I want to say that's two of the worst finishes I have seen. Attempts to finish that I've seen in a long time. Zerto Ramirez completely ignored the body except for like two shots. He absolutely ignored it when he was trying to finish. And then if you go look at the main event, I kid you not, Valdez threw three left hooks to the same high guard that hit the glove three times. Just hook, hook, hook. And I'm just thinking to myself, kid, the hell are you doing? People want to see you close the show. Why are you not digging this man's body? Both of these dudes were badly hurt, and they both went on to put on a good fight later in the fight based on the flaws of both of these fighters. And nothing was elite about the performance. I'll say this about Valdez. Yes, him and Carl Frampton have a chance to knock each other clean the hell out because they both drop their guards when they're throwing, and they leave you wide open to hit them while they're hooking. So they'll be hooking against. They might knock each other asses out. We just don't know. So I mean, other than Frampton probably controlling the ring a little bit better and being set on his shot while Valdez is winding up in one, that may be the only thing that doesn't give him a shot. No, he cannot compete with Leo Santa Cruz right now. He get his face jabbed in. He get Leo Santa Cruz would do whatever he wanted to do. Gary Russell Jr. I don't know if I've seen enough. I'm not confident to tell you anything about Gary Russell Jr. at this time. I'm more confident talking about Vasquez because at least he fights. Lee Selby, I feel like I would favor Selby there too at 26. And at 68, if Zerto's very aggressive. If he would just continue the aggressiveness but stop reaching into the space and step into it and cut it off, he would have gave Jesse Hart way more problems. Jesse Hart just saw the space, took steps to the side laterally, and just banged him because this man continuously reached with the straight left hand when he was trying to cut distance. You don't do it with upper body. You do it with your feet, and he wasn't doing that well. And every highlight that you saw in that fight was caused because he reached into the space while he was trying to cut the distance. It was just a dumb move. I thought it was bad performances on the whole night by the two top ranked fighters.
Anyone else?
Aesthetically, it was good. Entertainment-wise, both main events were really, really good as far as entertainment, as far as you watching and seeing a little bit back and forth. But that's not the card Top Rank wanted. They wanted statements from Zerto. They wanted especially a statement from Valdez. And the main criticism I'm going to have now for Zerto is it's starting to look like it wasn't his skill set that beat Arthur Abraham. It's starting to look like he just happened to catch Arthur Abraham when he got old. And that's not good when it just feels like, okay, you won your belt just because the champion got old. Because prior to that, I was not impressed with Zerto, and now after that, I'm still not impressed with Zerto. He should have ended that fight 9 rounds ago. It should have been over after 3. In fact, I think I even messaged people saying, if I'm Jesse Hart's corner, I'm not putting him out there in the 4th or the 5th. He looked that bad, but like you said, might give credit to Jesse Hart. He willed himself. He got himself back into the fight. And those scorecards were a little bit too close, I bet you, for Zerto's team's liking. For Valdez, This was supposed to be the showcase fight. This was supposed to be first round knockout. Get the crowd cheering there in Tucson, and announce yourself as the guy, one of the guys at featherweight. What you instead got was a fighter that could eat your punches in Servania pretty well up to a certain point, and he showed cracks in your defense where it wound up getting you knocked down. Valdez fighting the first knockdown of his career. These fights, as far as I think top-ranked matchmakers, should not have gone the distance. They should have done it early, and each guy should have looked stronger for it. Instead, okay, they became entertaining fighters. You can say, okay, if I watch Zerto, I'm probably going to get entertained. If I watch Valdez, I'm going to get entertained, but I'm not going to see a dominant performance. And that's ultimately sad because it's ultimately sad because, unfortunately, in Oscar Valdez's case, I'm not putting him against Santa Cruz after seeing that. I may not put him against Gilberto Jr. after seeing that. It mainly depends on how active Gilberto Jr. is prior to the fight. I won't even put him against Carl Frampton. If I'm top ranked, no, go after the weakest link. Go after Lee Selby. Go after somebody that was going to make you look good, because Frampton, Santa Cruz, Russell, maybe even Morris now at this stage, is not going to do that for you. Hell, if I'm Golden Boy, I may pivot, because if that's the Oscar Valdez that I'm seeing, maybe JoJo can take him.
Check up and then what you need.
So, correction, Valdez has been down before. He was down in the first round when he fought at the StubHub. But, Valdez is... I have more hope with him than I do with Ramirez. I think he's been pretty on the nose with him from the get-go. He seems like he has talent, and he did beat Abraham, but again, a faded Abraham. It's not the Abraham of old. He's an old Abraham. But he should have finished the fight. He hasn't had great performances, so he could be ripe for the picking. But hopefully, he's able to be competitive, once he starts getting some higher level fights. With Valdez, I still think he beats Jojo Diaz. I haven't been that impressed with Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz doesn't have power, in my opinion, in either hand. So, but Valdez, he seems to maybe have trouble sometimes completing rounds, like just fighting hard for the whole round. He does have good body punching, but I don't know why sometimes he kind of just doesn't, he had what's his face hurt pretty bad in that, was it 5th round, and he just went all for head punches, and but he kind of seemed to he gasses himself out sometimes, even in that Mariaga fight. But as much as Lomachenko beat the shit out of Mariaga was still a really good fighter. So it was a good fight with Valdez, but I would favor Leo Santa Cruz over Valdez. Frampton is an interesting one because we haven't seen Frampton since his loss. He was supposed to have a couple fights. One got canceled for he missed weight, first of all, and then the guy fell in the shower and they canceled that fight. But he's changed trainers, and he's talked about I think retiring, or he hasn't talked like he's someone that has his head in the fight game. So that'd be an interesting fight to see with Valdez, to see if you're probably not going to get the same Frampton that won him the championship. And remember, when Frampton first came here to the States, he got knocked down 2 or 3 times in that fight in Texas. So I think that'd be an interesting fight. Russell, his hand speed's so damn fast that, I mean, that gives him an advantage right there. But again, I'd like to see the fight, and I think Valdez, he's not afraid to fight any of these guys. So I mean, that's how we weed the the great from the good and the bad. Is you got to see them fight each other. So Valdez is still pretty young, but probably like I think someone said Selby is probably the weaker. Maybe a Frampton, maybe a Diaz, Joseph Diaz, but he does put on exciting fights. He does he does entertain. So I mean, I can't fault him for that. But is he going to have a long career and a long reign as a champion? Probably not at this point. The Mars fight is another interesting fight. I think Santa Cruz and Mars are fighting here in October on the same card, not against each other. And so, we'll see how that shakes out, and I don't know, maybe they can make another fight.
Your thoughts, what you need?
Well, styles make fights. So Genesis, Servania. By the way, I said last week that you don't count out any of these guys, and they all were live dogs over the weekend. So I don't think it's so much that the boxers that we're looking at, that we expect these great things from, underperformed. I think that the competition rose to the occasion, and they were all live dogs. So that's my opinion. With respect to Oscar Valdez versus Genesis Servania, I was looking at it again just to refresh my mind. They both have similar styles. So that's why Servania could exploit Valdez, and Valdez was also having some success against Servania. They have similar styles. They kind of fight with a lot of overhand lefts, overhand rights. They fight on the inside. They have some inside fighting. Use the jab, but it's mostly to get to the inside, right? So Valdez is basically an inside fighter. Guess what? So is Servania. In fact, their styles are almost the same. Think of Jeff Horn versus Manny Pacquiao, which was this year as well, I think. Jeff Horn had a similar style to Manny Pacquiao. See, because he studied Manny Pacquiao. So you have to understand, styles make fights. And I think a lot of times we're not taking into consideration any of this. So with the Oscar Valdez versus Servania, Top Rank matched him up with a guy who could call his number. And just because we don't know that guy, he's from the Philippines, we're thinking, oh, we don't know this guy. We don't know anything about him. But the toughest opponents you can have are the ones that don't have big names, because you don't always know what to expect from them. And I think a lot of people don't understand. This is a test for Oscar Valdez, who's a young champion, and he's getting this test where he has to deal with this particular type of, the matchmakers put this particular opponent in front of him to test his mindset. And mentally, he grew from this fight. So he was put down by Servania. Servania shocked everyone by putting him down. Then he comes back and he responds. That's the mark of a champion. Can you overcome the adversity? And Servania had him in trouble a number of times in the later rounds of the fight, if you do recall. And he responded. In fact, he ended the fight like a champion. So each champion has different developmental tasks to get. Remember, boxing is 90% mental, 10% physical. It's mostly about up here. So he was able to overcome that very tough challenge. It was Jesse Hart who talked about the Dashon Johnson who dropped him. I don't know if you guys remember this. The guy's a journeyman, right? But it's the mental, being able to get mentally above that. What did Jesse Hart do? He got dropped, but he continued. He said, you have to kill me. And you saw the dog come out in Jesse, right? And we saw the dog in Jesse again. In fact, he was such a dog in this fight, a live dog, he actually won 5 out of the 12 rounds. And Gilberto Ramirez, he was tested as well. But because he had more experience, he was able to push himself. Some people don't understand. When you get early success, you drop a guy early. Mentally, you can easily disengage from a fight and forget that you're in a fight. And you can relax mentally, and that could cost you the entire fight. We've seen it time and time again. So Peter Quillen versus Andy Lee is a good example. So I'm just trying to tell you guys, Gilberto Ramirez did a number of things which really impressed me. Again, The populace opinion is he didn't perform. But for me, watching a boxer, knowing the mental challenges boxers have to go through to be champions, he proved to me he was a champion, because it's about overcoming adversity. But people don't see these little points where there's adversity in front of you. When a guy gets up off the canvas, you hit him with his combination. He tried out that combination in the second round. He throws a straight left to the body, a right hook up top. It catches Jesse Hart. So he comes back with that shot, straight left to the body, right hook to the, and then he finishes off with a left hook to the body, a straight left to the body. Jesse Hart goes on with the body shot, right? Gets back up wobbly, right? Of course, he's inexperienced, so he doesn't finish him like he should. But this now is a live dog. Jesse Hart came into this fight to win their championship. This is what people don't understand. And this kid, he was going to do it one way or the other. He would die in that ring to become a champion. He was really, you read the interviews, this kid really wanted this thing. So you're dealing with a challenger who's motivated, that no matter what you do them, they're going to get it. I think Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward, the first fight. Arturo Gatti was having his way with Mickey Ward. Mickey Ward was taking punishment. And then Mickey Ward found a way to get to Arturo Gatti, and he won the fight. And people don't understand these things. It's not about difference. It's not only skill set. It's a mental game. And you can lose that mental battle easily in boxing, very easily. So I give Gilberto Ramirez the ultimate props. He shows that he's a true champion. He doesn't have the greatest skill set in the world, but he's relentless. He brings that pressure. He's constantly busy, and he does one good thing. He may make a whole bunch of mistakes, but he does the right thing. He goes to the body religiously. He goes to the body religiously. And that is going to make him a different champion to other champions out there. See, because you have to pay attention to what's actually going on in that ring. And a lot of people, they get carried away with, he knocked him down, why didn't he finish him? We get carried away with things sometimes that the fighter themselves may have asked themselves the question, but they continue onwards. What happens when you're a power puncher? You hit the guy with your best shot, the guy doesn't go down. You continue hitting him with your best shot. And if you got to hit him with your best shot for 12 rounds, you do so. That's a mental, that's something mental. That's not physical. That's mental.
There is a way to finish a man correctly, though. We all know you hurt somebody.
Easy. That's easy for you to say, Scorsese, because you're just watching the fight.
It's easy for every other boxer to do as well. We see the best fighters in the world. We see them finish fighters. We see more finishes than we when you hurt a man as bad as they are, we normally see man finish.
No, that's not true at all. I can give you so many instances of top tier elite fighters.
Vladimir Klitschko, way better than Jesse Hart. He got hurt. He got stopped because he was in there with a guy at the same age as Ramirez. Remember to go to the body. Finish your man the right way. Anthony Joshua made the mistake. Yeah, he made the mistake.
Vladimir Klitschko versus Anthony Joshua. Remember that fight? You must have forgot, like Roy Jones Jr. said.
He got stopped.
If I'm not mistaken,
I think you're giving way too much of a pass for a guy not doing his job.
Wait, hold up. If I'm not mistaken, Vladimir Klitschko knocked down. Vladimir Klitschko knocked down Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua got up like a live dog and finished Vladimir Klitschko. Now, it's a mental game. So when you say that one guy, I think the first guy to get the knockdown, was it Anthony Joshua or was it Vladimir Klitschko? I can't remember.
It was Joshua.
Right. Klitschko came back and dropped Anthony Joshua. Okay? So that's the elite of the elite. This is supposed to be a guy who's at the end of his game. He's an old guy. How does he drop a young stud? Experience. And in boxing, it's chess, not checkers. Not because you got a man hurt. Adonis Stevenson, hold up, let me finish. Adonis Stevenson learned this lesson very, very well against a very crafty journeyman. Just because you get a man hurt doesn't mean, and that Floyd Mayweather knows this very well, doesn't mean that he's not dangerous. And you can go to the body, you can do all those things, and he can still stop you. There always one punch makes a difference in a fight.
No, that's
and
not
so,
the point.
so Zurdo did the right thing by continuing to go to the body. He continued going to the body throughout the fight, but Jesse Hart would not. He would not. That boy would not lay down.
That's
he was
not
going to
throughout
lay
the fight.
down.
You go to the body when you hurt him. He refused to go to the body when he hurt him.
He
repeatedly swung at his
That's
head.
true. That's true. But my point
made
is
a
this.
Mistake.
Yes, he did in that round. But my point is he's inexperienced. But my point is this. Even if he went to the body, it does not guarantee that Jesse Hart would have gone down. It doesn't guarantee that.
It gives you a new target. And it gives a hurt man a new place to block. You take Stem when you go to the body. You make him defend a new position instead of throwing three combinations, 10 combinations to the head. It's a mistake. There's no way to defend it.
One at a time, please, gentlemen. Please, one at a time.
There are two major things Scorsese is overlooking. First one, the defense of Jesse Hart, what he was doing. The second thing is he does not understand when a man don't want to lay down. When he don't want to lay down, you have a problem. You have a problem.
You make him lay down. You make him lay down.
Because it's in a textbook, go to the body, and he would go down.
Go look at his defense. His defense was open to the body. He's standing straight up, and this guy, he's leaning back. The body's there.
Timothy Bradley didn't go down. And this
Jesse
boy,
Hart,
Jesse Hart,
Jesse Hart was there to be finished.
But wait, Jesse Hart felt his power.
Okay.
He felt it. Okay. You saw that boy. He said you see him get angry. He got angry and he jumped up. Inexperienced again. You take a knee first and then you get up. So he was still spinning.
He was done.
He was not done. He wasn't done. If he was done, this wouldn't go 12 rounds. If he was done, it wouldn't have gone 12 rounds.
If he was in there with a fighter who understood my opponent is at a level where done, it's finished, you take it out the oven, he would have then took it out the oven and ate on it. But he didn't go to the Zurdo. You can't make the excuse for Zurdo. This is not Jesse Hart's full credit. This is Zurdo. 90% Zurdo made the mistake of not finishing his man. And Jesse Hart got let off the hook.
I disagree with you for two reasons.
Wait a minute, fellas, because we could finish this. We could go at this all night.
But what people don't understand is body shots don't always take a guy out. Like you can hit a guy with a liver shot and that might take him out.
Let me finish what you need. I think there's room here for both to exist.
I'm just making the point that
you could be right. Let me finish, please. Both of you can be right here. Could Ramirez have done some things from a technical standpoint in terms of going to the body more? Absolutely. But as I was saying before, even last week, there was something in Jesse Hart, even when he was talking about the fight, that, and in this instance, what you need is right. There are cases where fighters, no matter what you do to them, they're so keyed up, they're so amped up, they're not going to go. Period. They're not. I think that is what you need's point in all of this. Just to put it short, yeah, Zurdo could have done some things more, but even if he did, his mentality, and some fighters can do this for one fight. One fight, they just put it all on the line and just saying, I'm not going to go. And then they can follow in the fight subsequently and go easy. But for that one night, they're just not going to fall. You can see this not just in boxing, but you can see this in any kind of sport. I don't care if it's in the soccer field on the pitch, tennis field on the court, football field, basketball court. It's just what it is. And I think, from my perspective, both things could have existed. Zurdo could have done more and should have done more. He should have went to the body and stayed there. But I just don't know that because of Jesse Hart's mentality, it would not have mattered. That dude was going to stay there no matter what. He was just going to stay there.
And that was only for a round. He didn't go to the body after he started headhunting, But after that round, he went back to the body. But, Jesse wasn't going to go nowhere. He wasn't going to go nowhere.
Yeah, and let's move on and talk some about and get into the news here. Like I said, we're not going to go into any fight previews because, like I said, it's really for the next couple of weeks. There's nothing happening. It's really dry. late September, early October. So let's just go into some news here. A lot of news developments happening. I omitted this story last week, but big news is that, of course, um, Lomachenko Rigondeaux is signed, sealed, delivered. They're going to fight early December. I want to say in Barclays. Correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel. But the thing is, the bottom line is a fight that's been talked about really throughout the whole spring and summer. Even really for a couple of years, going back to when Lomachenko was at 26. We're finally going to see it at 130 pounds. And I'll just open up for the discussion here. Your thoughts? Is it too little, too late for Rigondeaux? Is he too small? What happens when Lomachenko fights someone that his equal in skill set? Maybe can do a little bit more than he can, if we're going to be really, really honest. Can Lomachenko at his age bring it all together for one fight? Kind of piggybacking on our point about Jesse Hart, about mentality. Is this the fight that Lomachenko is just going to be so keened up and so tuned in, even though a lot of people think he's too small and too old to just say, I'm just going to do it? Your thoughts? I'm just going to open up for anybody who wants to talk about it. Unmute your mics, please.
This is going to be... It could be a beating of a little man, but it's going to be an entertaining fight nonetheless, though, because, yeah, it's gonna be actually at Madison Square Garden, but it is an interesting fight because both of these guys have such impressive pedigrees. You're talking about the two best amateur fighters of their generation here. So it's going to prove to be a good fight because as much as people give crap to Rigondeaux when it comes to how he fought, I guess like at Vetco or some of his fights where he's been a lot more defensive-minded, the dude has been known to crack. And he has been known to get up after being knocked down. So remind people of that New Year's Eve fight in Japan. Dropped down in the second round and then wound up beating the guy so badly it looked like it was a second head growing out of it. So the motivation, I think, mostly on Rigo because he's been ducked to a point where it's almost criminal. How is it that you're going to have two guys blatantly duck you and instead they'll fight each other? I'm speaking to you, Carl Frampton and Scott Quigg.
Oh, you could throw in Carl Frampton and Leo Santa Cruz in that as well. But go ahead.
Santa Cruz to me, no. Santa Cruz is the biggest disappointment to me in that one. Because to me, I said, if there's a style of fights that could mesh together and see who's better, Santa Cruz to me would have been it. Somebody who has a good motor and just keeps coming against somebody's defensive mind is Rigondeaux. I thought there would have been a hell of a fight, and it would have told you a lot about both guys. But Heyman decided not to do that. Golden Boy wanted that fight. Heyman didn't want that fight. So that's one not doing it, but this is all on Rigondeaux now. Because he's been asking for this type of fight his entire career. He's been asking for a fight that to say that win against Donaire was not a fluke. And Lomachenko is pretty prime for the challenge now. Size-wise, that's what I mean, unfortunately. Rigondeaux, unfortunately, is a small junior featherweight. You're asking him now to step into a junior lightweight. Granted, Lomachenko is also a little bit small for the junior lightweight, but he's fit into it better than what Rigondeaux's fight done in 122. That said, remember what we saw when it came to Linares and Campbell, the high-level skill set. You're going to see that taken to another level in this fight. Because both these guys know the ring well. Both these guys know how to defend. Both these guys know how to roll punches. And both these guys have a lot to lose. Lomachenko, you lose that little aura that nobody can beat, that nobody can beat you. You're the best that we're going to see in a while. Rigondeaux, he loses, he has to eat his words. Both these guys are going to come in motivated. It's going to be a hell of a fight. And if both of you are listening, save up your money now. Get the plane ticket. Go to JFK, not LaGuardia. LaGuardia's a nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare for the next 5 years.
I'll go to you, Gail, because I know you have to leave in a little bit. Your thoughts on this fight finally happening?
Very, very pleased to see this made. This is a Christmas present for all boxing fans. I echo Daniel. Gail, gather your pennies, start a GoFundMe page, whatever you got to do if you're going to go see this fight. It's going to be an extraordinary fight. We are going to see all of their skills tested. I'm confident it's going to bring out the best either man has to offer. So whoever wins can hold their head high. However, they do both have something to lose. I think Lomachenko, in a way, has far more to lose. Rigondeaux is a kind of a hardcore fight freaks, fighter. He is not on the general radar. Top Rank would love to get Lomachenko on the general radar. Everyone's trying to get him on the general radar, and it is starting. He is breaking through there. He is on the uprise. His graph is rising. He has many more years ahead of him. This is at the tail end of Rigo's professional career. So they're crossing each other's paths. One with quite a bit more ahead of him. One guy's got a lot more behind him than he's going to see in the future. I think the loss would be much, much worse for Loma than Rigo, which makes it even more interesting to me. With big stakes come big performances. So, I don't think we're going to see Loma, waving a cape for a bull or screwing around, waving his hands in the air. He's going to get down to business in this fight, and I look forward to that.
Going to open up for everyone else here. Jacob, what you need, Scorsese, your thoughts on this fight. It's finally going down.
It's been 2017 in boxing has just been great. We've been getting a bunch of great fights, great matchups. Usually we're always talking about fights that, what would have happened if these two would have met each other. Granted, this one's, maybe a little bit past its expiration date, but it's still intriguing in a way. I do have concerns about, Rigo having to move up 2 weight classes. He's, the age thing is also in question. Lomo has lost before. I think it was a second fight. So, I agree he has much more to lose. But, he can't do those antics he's been doing in his last few fights with Rigo. Rigo's a serious guy. He's got power. He's crafty. He's a good counter puncher. He's been dropped before and got up and finished fights. My other concern is basically, if Lomo wins convincingly, is he going to get full credit for that because of the weight disparity and kind of, you're picking on a smaller guy. And same thing with Rigo, is he going to get the respect he deserves if he were to win? I don't know his promotional. He seems to have a bunch of promotional issues, but I don't know what that's going to do, and I don't know how much. Is he still with Rock Nation? Does anybody know?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how long they're going to be around. So, because Ward, I think they lost Cotto. The Golden Boy. Ward retired, and now you got Rigo, who's, I guess if he loses, I don't know what else they have to go off of. So, but it's exciting. It's going to be in New York. I think the tickets just went on sale recently, and I don't know. I'm thinking about making a trip over there for that. Yeah, I convinced my wife to see if we can take a little family trip and go see this. Be my first time seeing a fight at the Garden. So I don't know. It's exciting. 2017's been bringing some great fights. So hopefully this is another one to add right before the end of the year.
Your thoughts on this fight, Scorsese, and then what you need at this point. At this age, is it too little, too late for Guillermo Rigondeaux to move up this much in weight?
The smaller, older, and I'll say it, darker man got desperate, and it was meant to be this for as long as they made it. He did it to himself some. He could have thrown some more punches, but he's desperate. He's gonna go up in weight. His time is gonna be a little off because he hasn't fought no more. I don't care what anybody says. I'll see him in the gym. See him in the gym. You ain't seen him in a 9-round fight in how long? You ain't seen him past 6 rounds in how long? It's gonna be a little slower, a little heavier. Punches ain't gonna feel as hard at 122 because of those things. Accuracy probably gonna drop a little bit because he's dealing with a new, different weight. I believe Lomachenko is gonna pull the bull out because it's meant to be like that. He's gonna pull the little red cape out. It's meant to be like that. Bob Arum said it. That's why I don't respect Bob Arum and Vasyl Lomachenko in boxing right now. Jacob said it. Expiration dates. Lomachenko continuously goes past them in his own little way. Him and Bob Arum, they continuously do this. Don't like him one single bit. Can't stand Bob Arum for doing it. But Rigo gonna. He's going to get hurt and hurt badly. I think the chin don't hold up at 22 sometime. Will make me think he'll hold up at 30. Lomachenko's proven he can punch at this division. No, and I don't think he's a small 130-pounder. The man got a huge back in the ring. No. Small? Nah, I don't think so. Him and Nicholas Walters was the same weight. The man's been over 140 pounds at 130. It is night-night Guillermo Rigondeaux if he does anything other than go to sleep in this fight. Well, I shouldn't say that. If he finds a way to win this fight, I'm shocked. It's all the cards stacked against him. Gail told the truth. It is definitely a bigger loss for Lomachenko if he takes it. Hell, his titles go. Rigo lose, he can go back down to 22 and say, I'm still the lineal champion. Lomachenko lose, that's your second one, And this guy came from obscurity. I don't care what we think. We think he's great. Now that Rigo is in obscurity. That's where he's at. He came from obscurity to smack you up in your division, on your network, in front of your promoter. Fool, you better get your ass up out of here. That's what I'm gonna say about Lomachenko. I hope it happens, but no, Rigo's getting slapped up. That's just what it is, man. It's meant to be that way.
I don't know what the too dark thing is about.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth. Rigo was blackballed on several different things, and his darkness was one of them. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, put it in that context. Just say that. Don't just say that. Because I don't know where you're going there.
Yeah. Well, that's the route. That's the path. That's it.
Okay. What you need? Your thoughts?
I agree with Scorsese on almost everything except I don't know about Rigo getting knocked out, but that's what they setting him up for. That's what they set up Andre Ward to get knocked out by Sergey Kovalev, and it turned out the opposite way. So you never know. Rigo's a sniper. That's what he is. He's a sniper. And my personal opinion, but from looking at footage of Rigo and Lomachenko is a mid-range fighter. He's not a guy that fight on the outside. You understand what I'm saying? Rigo's an outside fighter. He fights from a distance. He's got a pretty long reach. Maybe longer than Lomachenko's. I don't know. All I'm saying is, if you make a mistake, Rigo will make you pay. Everybody thought Nonito Donaire would run through Rigo. I know it's 2 weight classes up. I hear all of that. Maybe Rigo's desperate. Maybe he's not. But this one thing I can tell you, if Lomachenko makes a mistake, he's going to get paid. He's going to get tagged. And when he gets tagged, he's going to become hesitant. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
That same desperation we saw in Jesse Hart, we're going to see it in Rigo. That same desperation.
No. This guy fights composed every single time. Now, he don't have the greatest chin in the world. That's true. He gets dropped.
I'm desperation in terms of anxiety. In terms of desperation, in terms of want, in terms of incentive, in terms of motivation.
Oh yeah. That boy got defensive skills. So if Lomachenko can actually get past those defensive skills, now Rigo's not. He's not a all. How do I put this without sounding insulting? He's not a guy who can fight at any range like that. He's not really good at that. He's good at a particular range. Lomachenko is good at slipping, rolling, bobbing, weaving, moves footwork. You know, he moves laterally. He moves. He changes things. So Lomachenko is going to be interesting to face Rigo, but I can guarantee you this: Rigo ain't going to throw a punch if he don't know he can't hit you. So Rigo's a sniper. Lomachenko's rapid fire, and he's very skilled at moving into different positions. The problem is, and he's a southpaw. The problem is two southpaws fighting each other, which is fun. The problem with this is when you meet a sniper who's good at targeting you, all of that punch output starts to go down, you know. And as much as Rigo is going to be the very, very smaller man in there, the surprise will be how he keeps on tagging Lomachenko. It's going to shock everybody, but not me.
Because one of the criticisms of Lomachenko is that he moves too much, and he moves in the wrong position. Given Rigo's patience, he's going to catch him with shots.
He's too composed. So, and when he says, Rigo says, ha, 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 and he throws that shot, pow, right? Okay. You saw what happened with Amagasa. Amagasa was a big super bantamweight, right? Okay. So I'm just telling people, you got to be careful with that little guy. He's small and everything, but don't let his appearances fool you. And he's very agile for an old guy because he uses the rudiments, the principles of boxing, right? The Cuban school of boxing, this guy is the king of that. Okay, this is not Erikson Lubin. This is not even the cruiserweight that we talk about. This is a guy on a whole other level of boxing, right? And I think people are, you're thinking of him as an average boxer facing Lomachenko. This guy does certain things in there that, anyway, but you'll see for yourself what he can do. All right, it's going to be interesting. I think Lomachenko should crowd him as much as possible. Try to crowd him so he can go backwards and maybe you catch him with something. That's, I think, what Lomachenko should do. But if he stays on the outside of Rigo, he's not going to be able to do nothing. And I suspect he's going to be on the outside of Rigo in this fight. As much as Rigo going to be very, very small, he's a little guy, he's going to be on the outside. But Bob Arum thinks this is the best advantage for Lomachenko to beat Rigo. He was never going to pit them up at the same weight class. That wasn't going to happen. So he thinks he has an advantage in weight. But what people don't understand with a sniper, the bigger you are, the bigger the target. I don't think people understand this. This is boxing. But anyway, we'll see.
Going to combine two stories into one here involving HBO. Daniel Jacobs, who gave Gennady Golovkin a very tough fight. I personally believe he beat Triple G that night. Signed a multi-fight deal with both HBO and Eddie Hearn. And also Demetrius Andrade, who I just think has had a career, as talented as he is, I think outside the ring, he's had a career of just making mistakes. Rumors are that he either has or is on the verge of signing a multi-fight deal with HBO. I think the kickoff fight may be a fight sometime next month. I think the 21st here. So, two stories here, kind of involving HBO in different ways. Jacobs finding a deal with HBO and Eddie Hearn. Bubu Andrade signing reportedly, rumored to be a multi-fight deal with HBO. Your thoughts, everyone?
I'll say good for Danny Jacobs, man. I mean, And I've really come around on him, and he I agree with you. I thought he beat Triple G, and he's a hell of a fighter. But him just not getting the activity. I think he should just be a little bit more active and against higher level competition. So hopefully this he can get that. I don't think that the likes of the fights that he wants, like the Triple Gs or the Canelos, are going to happen anytime soon, because they're working out this potential rematch, and they don't want to mess that money up. So they're not going to put their guy against someone like Jacobs, who would be a serious threat to them. Possibly, maybe you can get a fight with like a Lemieux or someone else that at kind of that mid to top 10 level. But I'm excited for him. I think he deserves to be more active than he is, and unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. I don't know. Was he with Heyman before? Is that who he was with?
He's still with Heyman, yeah.
He's still technically with him, so yeah.
But he was fighting on the PBC, right? That's where he was fighting most of his fights.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know. Hopefully, this is good for them, and good for HBO to finally get their ass in the boxing game, since Showtime's been kicking their ass, in my opinion. For Andrade, I don't know, man. I think that guy, he's talented, but I think he I don't. He's dumb. He threw away his career. He's been on the shelf too long, and he just doesn't seem to. He talks about getting these big fights, but they don't ever happen. And time waits for no man. So I mean, I don't know. Even if we see him, I don't know if it's gonna mean anything.
Here's the thing, particularly with Andrade, all the top fighters at 154 are with Heyman PBC. The question is, now that he's reportedly signing this deal with Showtime, can he get those fights?
Yeah, but I mean, you already have, PBC is making fights at 154. You got that triple header that's happening with people. It's at 154, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and but he was even at I think the Charlo Williams fight, and he was talking all kinds of shit there too. He's been trying to get a fight, and he's been talking about getting a fight, but stop talking and make some moves. Like sometimes you gotta swallow your pride and make some concessions to get the fights you want. But again, time and time passes by, and at some point, it's going to be a little too late, in my opinion.
Anyone else with a word?
Sadly, the only person that moves is Danny Jacobs. Hopefully, else it could have been a Spence, a Thurman, somebody who get active that we have seen. Literally, I always want to fight the best, not do the 2 times with Sergio Mora deal. I think Dorticos really just shows somebody like Jacobs up. I know a lot of people say, I thought he won the fight. Jacobs was getting jabbed, his face jabbed. He was moving entirely too much. You're a puncher. You're the biggest man. And you understand, well, I'm in a dangerous puncher, so I got to move a lot. No, Dorticos was in there with a dangerous puncher too. And he stood in front of him, and he gave him the business, because that's what you do when you're a fighter. So to me, I'm not high on Danny Jacobs. I don't see the future that everybody seems to see in Danny Jacobs. I don't see it. I hope all this means is other people will find promoters, will find dates. Personally, for me, he just I don't know, a stepping stone in this situation, getting better for other people.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I do. I hope he is just a stepping stone to more people doing some kind of movements in their career, where we might think more is to come. Because and HBO to do something good for boxing, I guess, hopefully for anybody. But I just don't see him being that person. Nah.
Do you have him in your top 10 at all?
Top 10 what? Pound for pound?
No, middleweights.
I mean, he top 10 middleweight, but yeah, come. I kind of care less there.
Well, it's a good movement, and that's what happens when one major promoter leaves a network. A lot of money gets freed up. Top Rank leaves, they go sign with ESPN. Suddenly, HBO has some money to spend, and it's smart money to. And it might lead more to what Scorsese's mentioning about promoters, because it wasn't a mistake that Jacobs signed both with HBO and Eddie Hearn, because they made it known, if you're going to sign in this network, you better actually have an actual promoter. We're not doing this pseudo promotion thing that Heyman has with the PBC. That's why maybe Carl Frampton didn't also sign member with Frank Warren. I mean, he makes the moves too, because now what it does for the PBC, you can take some fighters off. You don't have to. PBC doesn't have to pay them. HBO can pay them now. And Danny Jacobs is going to come back in November. Remember, that's going to be a very early payday for Danny Jacobs. Andrade is going to be the difficult part, because for Andrade, for this to work, it has to go down the way Jacobs went, like where either DeCharlos, Lara have to, or Lubin, find an actual promoter. Maybe Eddie, maybe once again, maybe they go to Eddie Hearn, get promotional deals, and then that allows them to go on HBO to get the fights made. Because it just frees up the schedule for PBC. It gets their guys going. And ultimately, you get a broader audience. Because to say that the PBC has not done a good job of keeping their fighters active is to put it very, very, very friendly. A good amount of their stable doesn't get a lot of fights. So this helps out in many ways. It also lets people know that HBO is not going to go quietly into the night like they thought they would when Top Rank left. They're going to find other promoters. They're going to find other people to make the fights. They're going to make deals that make you want to say, oh, this guy's now on HBO. I got to go see him now. Like I said, Andrade's a good example. It's going to be probably a good example of what they can do if you give him a network, if you give him time. We know what Jacobs can do. And Jacobs can have a fight maybe with Lemieux, maybe with Andy Lee. Maybe HBO throws enough money at Saunders to finally say, okay, come over here. So we have to see how it shapes up. It does better for all around, because it keeps HBO active in the fight game. It gets PBC fighters a little bit more time to shine and exposure. And ultimately, it may lead to better fights. And Jacob mentioned that this has been a hell of a year for boxing. And if the right moves get made, 2018 might be even better. So, to me, it's good news all around. It means HBO's staying there. It means Danny Jacobs, we're going to see more of Danny Jacobs, which I don't mind. And maybe Andrade will finally get some common sense about his career. I highly doubt it, but hopefully he may get some common sense.
Anybody else want to comment on these two news developments regarding Jacobs and Boo Andrade?
Real quick, I think the middleweight division is really heating up with the new blood. We got Charlo up in there now. Andrade is moving up to 160. I think it's a good move with Andrade moving up to 160. He was too big for 154 anyway, even though the competition is heating up at 154 with all of the champions and so on. I thought that those guys are across the pond in Showtime or in PBC, and he wasn't getting those fights. So move up to 160 where you actually have middleweights on HBO. You're signed with HBO. And I was hoping he would have done it sooner, but I guess he's doing it now because when he saw GGG face Canelo and he saw GGG face Jacobs, He's like, let me move up there now where the action is. And if you think about it, most of the people at 160 were people from 154. You got Canelo, you got Charlo up there now. Who knows? Lara may move up there. So it could get very interesting. And of course, in the equation, nobody's talking about this guy, Billy Joe Saunders. He's literally across the world. But Eddie Hearn makes it possible for Jacobs to face Saunders. In fact, I heard Saunders' trainer, Billy Joe Saunders, going to be facing a tough Georgian guy. Because the guy's got the interim belt to face Saunders, or the WBO, whatever it is, the belt to be the contender, right? So Saunders will be facing him. Who knows if Jacobs faces Saunders next? Who knows if Jacobs has all these opportunities across at HBO. He's got Saunders. He's got a rematch with GGG, maybe a rematch with or a fight with Canelo. He can face Charlo. Well, no, Charlo's not on HBO. Sorry, my bad. But I'm just saying, he could face Andrade. You know what I mean? Quillen's over there. Lemieux's over there. Nobody's talking about Lemieux. Jacobs might face Lemieux. So you got all of these. You got Hassan and Don, who got a belt, the WBA that Jacobs had.
Got a belt. He didn't deserve it. He didn't earn it.
Well, I'm not really. I make these jokes about Hassan and Don, but the truth be told, we know he's not in the league of these guys. But that's still okay. He got him there. So if you want, you could beat him. But the point is, there's those guys there. They're not the level of a Jacobs or the level of a Charlo or those guys, but it's exciting. The division's actually got some really promising, young, strong lions up in there, and that's what that makes it very interesting. I wish Lara would move up to 160 now and leave 154 behind him. That would make it complete, I think. Oh yeah. So the other thing is Andrade, Demetrius Andrade moving up to 160. I think it's a good move for him, seeing that that's where the talent is on HBO. He should have done it sooner, but I guess the Golovkin mystique was, keeping people hesitant from moving up there. And now that Golovkin looks less, how do I say,
invincible,
less of a monster,
less invincible.
Everybody's now. And then the other cool thing about it is nobody's talking about this point. Golovkin faced Canelo, and if that pay-per-view is very high, that helps Golovkin as a fighter. Now fighters will actually want to fight him because his value is just going up. His stock has just gone up because he faced Canelo. You see what I'm saying? So Golovkin actually has benefited from this fight. And if the pay-per-views is around 2 million pay-per-view buys, Golovkin has just been able to benefit from that. And he'll benefit from pay-per-view. If they do a rematch, it does that or higher. He's going to really benefit. And now everybody's going to be coming at Golovkin. Everybody's going to be coming at, everybody's already coming at Canelo. Everybody's talking about Canelo. So Canelo's, because everybody want that paycheck now. You know what I mean? So I understand what the game is. So yeah, it's good. Andre should move up there, try to get his piece of the pie if he can.
Did he move up to put in work, or did he move up to chase the circus? Because if you moved up to chase the circus, you did that at 54. It didn't happen. So I look at it like Jacob said, I think it was Jacob or Daniel, get smart or get gone, bro. Like, you wasted fucking time. There ain't nothing that you could do at this point. Forgive what you already done to yourself. So
yeah,
no more. Feeding to Andre like it's gonna be okay. It ain't gonna be okay.
But there's a difference.
Until you show me it's okay, I don't give a flying.
But there's a difference.
I used to love Demetrius Andrade and everything I thought that was capable. I'm fed up, and until it shows, you can't guess with him because I hate to say this word, the dude is fucking retarded, man. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, but my point is this.
You can't speculate.
My point is this.
Full of shit, and he did all this to himself.
My point is this. He wasn't signed with Showtime. He was signed with HBO.
He did sign with Showtime.
No. He was signed with HBO. He was on HBO. He's an HBO fighter. Now, here's my point. My point is this. All right? Dude was on HBO. I think his contract ended with HBO something like that. And he was supposed to face the Charlo Sunday, but he's not signed with Showtime either, right? He don't got no fights on Showtime.
No, he was signed. No, he's signed with Showtime, and he was set to face Jermell because Jermell was his mandatory, and then he listened to Jay-Z and lost his belt.
No, he never was signed with Showtime.
He just got out of a Showtime deal. He signed with Showtime, and that didn't go through. He was supposed to have multiple fights on Showtime after the Willie Nelson bout. That didn't go through. He done flip-flopped onto this HBO thing, and everybody think, oh, it's going to turn up. Well, don't hold your breath, because I told you I did for years, and I'm done dying for Demetrius damn Andrade. I need air. All right.
No, he did sign a deal. They made a whole big deal out of it. Showtime, like, oh, we just signed Badou Andrade,
and nothing happened.
Was that verified though? And was that William Nelson fight a Showtime fight? Or was it?
Yes,
it was.
It was a Showtime. It's verified. The deal was verified. He had a deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
And I forgot to mention, like, I think you were thinking of Martini. I thought you were thinking about Cresside as the guy challenging Saunders. He's not going to challenge him for a long time because he has a RICO case on him.
Yep.
So,
and Andre has a nose ring. Saunders, that boy got RICO. Andre got a nose ring. Just let's keep it there. He's the only boxer out here got time to go get his damn nose pierced and keep the thing in long enough for it to heal while we asking where the hell he at. Okay, just think about that. Fuck dude.
Anyway,
I wanted to see him fight for years. So he said, "Fuck me as a fan." So you know what? Fuck his career too. Don't guess and speculate. He will let you down. Be prepared. Be prepared.
Well, anyway, 160 is a good place for him to go on HBO because there actually is talent there. But as to Jacobs, I disagree with Scorsese on that one. That Jacobs is whatever he says he is. I would say this though. I'm glad that Jacobs again moved across the pond to HBO because that's where most of the middleweights are, right? You got all those guys, GGG, Canelo, Lemieux, some of the guys like Curtis Stevens, Hassan and whatever. And you got, well, the only thing is I don't know what's going to happen with Jamal Charlo, but anyhow you take it, I think PVC is just a platform to groom people to move forward. Why is there background noise? Yeah, PVC. Is it me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, PVC is just a platform to really groom guys to move out. So I guess they negotiate how they're doing it, as we see with Danny Jacobs, as we saw with a couple other fighters. So all I'm saying is, I think it's a good thing where Danny Jacobs is, and I guess Jamal Charlo, I guess he can also negotiate how he would want to proceed with the middleweights because he's up in the middleweight division. Unless he intends to do his stuff on Showtime, I would think that I hope that he would actually work to actually face some of those real middleweights because he was actually talking about them. So I'm assuming that they're able to do that, actually fight on whatever it will be, HBO or Showtime, whatever it is, the arrangement they'll make for Jamal.
Couple more news stories here. Erikson Lubin, rising 21-year-old junior middleweight, in line for a title shot mandatory challenger. I saw this late last night. I didn't have any time today to kind of follow the story up, where he signed a deal with Lil Wayne's sports agency, boxing agency, Target Boxing. Like I said, I didn't have any time to really look this to delve into the story anymore. So I'm going to rely on you guys. Have you looked any further into this? If so, please provide some details on this deal.
Why are these fighters keep on signing with these rappers? Haven't they learned their lesson already?
I got my detail is this: capital L, capital O, capital L again. That's the best detail I got for you. I agree with Jacob. That's ignorant.
Any insight on this, Daniel? Unmute your mic. I had to mute you because you had some background noise going on.
No, probably have to mute myself too because I heard it myself. But it's not actually a promoter; it's a sports agency. So he's not fully jumping in as a promoter; he's jumping in as an agent. And I think in a lot of ways he's starting to do that now, ranging technically what Rock Nation should have done. was stay as a sports agency, grow your portfolio, and you can have a wide range of clients. Rock Nation started to do that, and then Jay-Z remembered that Al Heyman runs BBC. But it's going to be interesting because, unfortunately, when it comes to Lil Wayne has a tendency to get himself into beefs that he doesn't need to. And that alone may mess with his money. But there's the same question that you're always going to have, Rock Nation. It was the same question that people had with 50 Cent when he tried to break with Floyd. If you put the right people around you that know the business, then you can probably succeed. Unfortunately, in the case of 50, no. 50 tried to steal TMT from underneath Floyd and paid for it big time.
And there's still questions in the
when
air.
They came to,
and for me, the question is, how much does Lil Wayne know about the sweet science? I haven't seen any evidence.
That's the whole thing. Not him. He needs other people to do it for him. Like when Rock Nation tried to do it initially, remember they had Gary Shaw run the place, and then they fucked up.
Where is the evidence? Who has he hired? Who has who is his advisor, if you will?
That's the bad part. That's the X factor. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And that's what scares me. Nobody knows.
Wait, didn't Rock Nation hire Gary Shaw and then they that whole relay thing fell apart within a matter of weeks?
Yeah, they hired Gary Shaw. Gary Shaw was set to take over everything, but somewhere along the line, something happened where Gary Shaw not only left, but he exercised the clause as, if I leave, everything that I brought in leaves with me, which included at that point Brian Jennings. And so Rock Nation lost out on a good amount of exposure when Jennings fought Klitschko.
You have any opinion on this? What you need, or you just at a loss?
About Erikson Lubin and Lil Wayne, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why he's associated with them. I know he's facing Jamal Charlo, but maybe I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know why. It's confusing. It's confusing me, to be honest with you.
Let's move on to this last little story here. I'll start this off with Scorsese. One of his favorite fighters, Badou Jack, decided to give up the 175-pound belt just a few weeks after winning it over Nathan Cleverly. He says that Mayweather promotion has bigger fish for him to fry, bigger fights for him. What have you heard?
I'm just gonna say this: boxing likes to confuse the hell out you, and play with. They like this, and it's annoying, but they like to let you think your own thoughts. Give you the bait. They give you the bait and let you chase it. Eddie Hearn could come out and dead this whole story, but then he would be taking away the Bivens being ducked part. Badou Jack is saying, he supposedly had to get his belt up by way of even getting the Cleverly fight. They were saying, yo, you're giving the belt up no matter what. To get this fight, if you win it, you got to give it up. That's in the clause it's not a real WBA title, just a regular belt, interim type belt or whatever. They got too many damn belts to keep up with. But anyways, he was said that, to even get the Cleverly fight and that exposure on Mayweather McGregor, he had to drop that title. And I understand it because he was supposed to be fighting a later Alvarez who supposedly sprung his ankle and couldn't take the fight. So Cleverly wasn't an option, could have been let. And remember, that fight did take up to the last minute, damn near to get signed, like 3 or 4 weeks before the fight, before the date. So it's, it's not a duck. It's confusing because you do got him calling out Adonis Stevenson. You got Eddie Hearn that's not nipping it in the bud. You got Bivol that's fighting for, I don't know, the real title, I don't know what he's fighting for, but he's fighting for versus the 11th ranked man because the WBC is full of shit like diarrhea. And what we got is people saying, I just heard a comment today from a source in Canada. Well, not even source. Another source did contact me after I read something from this woman I do not know, but she works for TVA Sports. She says that Stevenson is supposed to drop the WBC title, fight Badou Jack for the WBC Diamond Belt, and let later Alvarez then fight somebody for the WBC. And then Stevenson comes out on Twitter just minutes ago, I guess, and just says, I'm not dropping my title for nobody. If you want my title, you gotta. This shit is ridiculous. I don't know. 175, I love the division. I think it's the deepest division in boxing. But damn, man, I'm tired of my hair spinning and spinning. I want to see some fights. I want some understanding. Would I give up the belt? Would I care if Stevenson dropped the belt to fight Jack? In a way, I'd be like, whoa, that's crazy. But then again, I'm not gonna miss that fight for nothing. I'm just everywhere on this.
I'm going to open a discussion for everybody else here. First, I want to say, Gail, she had to leave early and dip out, so I want to thank her for joining us on the show this evening. Again, this news regarding Badou Jack, possible ramifications in the rest of the light heavyweight division. What do you think, fellas?
I just want to see these guys fight at the end of the day. You know, like I want to see good fights, and 2017 has been giving us good fights. So, you know, we got a little bit of time left in the year, so hopefully they can get something matched up. You know, maybe I think it's a strategic move to maybe, you know, to get a fight, to make him a little bit more, I guess, movable, where he doesn't have to do any mandatory or anything like that. So, you know, at the end of the day, I just want to see these guys fight and, you know, good competition.
Hey, would you care for if he dropped the belt to fight Badou Jack, or would that mess up something? What would you think? What you think?
Who, Stevenson?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't care because I want to see the fight. Like, the belts are secondary to me in a way. I'd rather see a good competitive fight with two top level people, and whether it's for a belt or it isn't for a belt, like that part that's always going to be secondary for me.
Yeah, I wish I could say that too, but then again, these boxers won't make the belt secondary. Like, I'm tired of the belts, but they won't make it secondary themselves. They continue to chase these sanctioning fees, basically. Ah.
Yeah, I think that the reality is that, or the mindset is that you have a belt that gives you power, that gives you, you know, like bargaining chips, you know, like people, the networks and, you know, the people that show the fights or people that you're trying to grab, even casuals, they want to hear, you know, this is for the championship. It's a world championship fight, not, you know, hey, it's just a fight between two guys. You know, like why do people watch the Super Bowl? It's the, you know, it's the final, you know, thing. It's for all the marbles. So in a way, that's the mentality, I think, of the casual boxing fan and the networks, on the marketing side of it. So for me, it doesn't matter, but, you know, I get it, you know, for the champion, you know, to be able to maneuver and do other things. But, you know, hopefully, you know, something like this could break that kind of mentality.
What you need, Daniel, your thoughts on all this?
Daniel? You first, man.
Me? Okay. I don't have much thoughts on it because it's boxing. It's part of boxing. They do all kind of crazy stuff and make you scratch your head like, oh. So it's boxing. It's a part of boxing. We'll see, I guess, in the future why he did what he did. You know, why he gave up his belt. You know, Peter Quillen gave up his belt, and then I guess he got a fight with Andy Lee. I don't know. But in my opinion, I would love to see Badou Jack facing some good opposition, like Daniel and Scorsese was saying, in the light heavyweight division. I like that he got a belt. He nabbed one. Andre Warden left the building, so there's a space for something to happen. But I guess they didn't want to match him up with this guy because they probably thought that there was probably a better matchup. So we'll see. If he ends up fighting some nobody, that'll really piss me off. But other than that, no, I mean, I watch to see what happens. That's it.
Your thoughts, Daniel?
I understand why you drop the belt when it doesn't make money for you, because, okay, you win the regular WBA belt, you have Bibble as your mandatory. But Bibble himself has said he's not ready for those fights yet. But the WBA is still making you negotiate with it. And it's not going to be a big payday. So I understand him dropping the belt in that sense, like, you're not going to tie me to this situation. Remember, Canelo did that a year ago. So that's one aspect of it. Another one is, I think he's going to regret it when we all find out that all Andre Ward did was just renegotiate his contract. And he's back in the game. Multi-fight deal with HBO.
You still think that?
I have not. I'm going by precedent. Andre Ward pulls this crap over and over and over again.
When
as good of a fighter that he is.
When is he retired and come back? I don't remember that.
No, not retired and coming. Like, he finds a contract, or he does something where they're negotiating a contract. He finds some way to screw or to lengthen it. Like, right before he's retiring, he's negotiating a multi-fight, multi-million-dollar deal with HBO. It wouldn't surprise me then he saw the numbers that Canelo Triple G were making and said, nope, you're not going to pay me that little. You're going to pay me what these guys are making. You don't want to? Okay, I'm going to pretend to retire. And then you're going to have people chase around for these belts, and ultimately, nope, I'm back now that you finally paid me. That's one aspect of it.
Are you saying that because he hasn't dropped the belts?
Pretty much, yeah. To me, like, okay, you're just renegotiating the contract.
I think we have an oddity, though, with Andre Ward. He is a very smart guy, and I think he's accomplished a lot in his career, and he's seen what staying in the game can do to your life. And he's a big family man, too. So I think he's being really smart about it. And he's been very good with his money. He's made a lot of money, and he's been very smart with his money. He even commented when they asked him about Broner, and just he spoke very eloquently about it and how you need to. It's not going to always be there, and you have to have life after boxing. And he is the commentating too. You know, he's doing the ESPN and apparently the HBO too. I mean, people thought he was done with his HBO, but he's doing both.
Yeah, but then that's the tricky part. Like, common sense would make me dictate. I agree. Like, he retired. He knows what he did, and he's made good money. But unfortunately, there's enough precedent to me, Andre Ward, that he has to prove it to me. That's the bad part of it. It's all those battles that he had with Goosen that just made me think this way. Probably. Now, this whole Stevenson dropping the belt thing. Why in God's name would Adonis Stevenson drop a belt to fight Badou Jack? Particularly when the WBC rules allow Badou Jack to immediately challenge Adonis Stevenson for that belt.
Yeah. But it don't seem like it's
That's
coming
the whole
to
point.
fruition. Don't seem like it's coming to fruition.
Well, and we have to see who do we go to on this side. Is it the money team that just being stupid? Is it Yvonne Michelle just being stupid? Is it Eleider Alvarez actually putting his foot down and saying, no, you're going to have to fight me? Even though, like I said, the WBC rules can let him say, no, he's former champion at the lower weight division. He can sidestep you by our rules. And that's the whole thing. Like, that whole area, like, why would you drop a belt and then fight for a diamond belt on the other one? That doesn't make sense unless you were hurt for a while. The Linares situation is the perfect example. He was hurt for a while. They had to give the championship belt to somebody. Sadichin won it. Mikey got it. But Jorge Linares is still technically the WBC Diamond Lightweight Champion. But he earned it back because he came back from injury. There's no logical thing to me to say, Adonis Stevenson, you are the WBC light heavyweight champion of the world. You're going to drop that belt and fight a guy that could technically fight you for said belt for another belt that technically means you were hurt for a while, and then you let Elia Alvarez run with the real belt. That makes no sense.
So you're saying the end game. You're saying the end game was really for Badou to face Adonis Stevenson. That's what you're saying. That's why he dropped that belt. I get it.
But he hasn't. Yeah, but Jack dropped his, but I just want them to flip a coin.
But why have to go through all this red tape though?
Flip a coin and make the damn fights. You know what I mean?
Because the WBA are dumbasses.
But Scorsese, didn't you say that he was supposed to fight Elida Alvarez, Badou Jack?
Yeah, but that was just for Mayweather McGregor undercard, and he was going to take the fight, but he supposedly sprung his ankle. I don't believe he sprung his ankle. I just believe he's been too active and his body wouldn't let him prepare for a damn Badou. Like he would have fought like 4 times Pascal Bute, Jack in it. No. And you were cut in the Bute fight. You were losing that fight. Some people, no, I think his body just told him, you're not doing it.
I think the end game.
I haven't heard anything. Again?
I think the end game is to get Adonis. It was really, they're trying to carve a path to get to Adonis. And they were going through Elida. It didn't work. So they said, let me show that Badou Jack could be a champion at this division, at this level. So he beats Nathan cleverly. He gets the belt. That would give him some kind of leverage or show his potential. And they're trying to carve a way now to Stevenson.
But the thing is, they don't need it. They didn't need to do that. Because the WBC rules are on Badou Jack's side when it comes to him sidestepping the champion. That's the whole thing. That's the whole fallacy of it. When it comes down to it, and it's weird now in the division because now, okay, you're gonna guess what? If Andre Ward is legitimately retired, you're gonna have Bivol, who blatantly said he's not ready, fighting for a world title. You're gonna have Kovalev most likely fight Shabransky, and they're going to somehow now make that fight for the WBO title. And Biadabev is probably going to wind up fighting for the IBF title. You're going to have the division completely split again. And unfortunately, because of Biadabev's situation with Yvan Michel, it depends who wins the WBO side, and it depends who they get to fight Bivol. Maybe Vostok actually steps up. Everybody's going to be protecting their corners at the end.
Let me sum this up all in one word. Let me just sum this up.
What I'm saying though is Patrick, what's his name? The TMT fighter is what again? I just blanked him. No, the TMT fighter.
Badou Jack. He means Badou
Jack. Badou Jack. That was his first light heavyweight fight against Nathan Cleverly.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. So that served its purpose to see how he handled himself at light heavyweight. And he immediately got his championship fight. Now he knows he can handle those guys at that size. Yeah, you give Adonis. So it did have a purpose, I think. I think it was smart for them to do that. Instead of just jump up from super middleweight to Adonis. I'll just say.
Let me just sum this up in one word as we close this out. To quote Lennox Lewis, politics.
They're trying to get to Steven.
If that is the end game, miss me with all these hoops and drop this and end that and all that. At the end of the day, people want to see the fights. Period.
Straightforwardness.
And all this negotiation and all this mess, all it does is just frustrate folks.
Yeah.
If the path is there for a Badou Jack to fight Stevenson, make it happen. Period.
Right.
Make it happen.
Which is probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, I got to see that.
Don't give folks all this, ancillary stuff. Make the fight happen. And
yes.
And I think we're going to start to shut down the show on that note because it's going long. We're over 2 hours right now. Since Gail had to dip out, I'll give her information if you want to talk the sweet science, if you want to talk environmental issues, if you want to talk Dancing with the Stars, you can check her. She writes for Communities Digital News. That is COMM, DIGI news.com. And also, if you want to check her out on Twitter, you can follow her at PRPro. San Diego. So there you go. Communities Digital News, COMM, Digi News .com, and you can follow her on Twitter once again. You can follow her at PR Pro San Diego. I go to you. What you need, join us live from Trinidad. For folks who want to talk sweet science, for folks who want to check out what you're doing vis-a-vis boxing, let the folks know where they can hit you up.
Right, you can get me at What You Need on YouTube. That's WATTUNEED. What You Need.
Going to you, Scorsese, for folks who want to talk the sweet science and whatnot. Let the folks know where they can find you.
Twitter is at Milo Place, all one word, and my YouTube is Low Place #MLPF, and you find me going live, going crazy at the same time. Some would say, on either one.
Jacob from Jab Hook Boxing, for folks who want to talk boxing, for folks who want to talk movies. Let the people know where they can hit you up.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, and thanks for the panel, as always. Yeah, you can hit me up at Twitter, JRATM23, Jab Hook Boxing, when I'm writing for as infrequent as I write. I do write sometimes, so I'm trying to get back into it. And you can catch me. I was actually on a podcast for movies just recently. When I was in New York, I got to do a live podcast with Wrong Reel. So we did kind of a retrospective on John McTiernan's career. So that was fun. So look out for that.
Daniel from the Inscriber, for those who want to talk the sweet science, for those who want to talk the NBA, specifically the Miami Heat. I know you just posted some short episodes talking about D-Wade being released from Chicago, and looks like he's going to sign with Cleveland. Boxing, NBA, check you out. Pushing back against conservatives on Twitter. Let the folks know where they can hit you up.
Yes, folks, you can find me on Twitter, Raucous99. Yes, I did put it. I recently put out a piece on the Instagram magazine, a training camp preview for the Heat. And yes, tomorrow, me, Joe and Francis from ForBoxingNews.com, we're going to definitely talk about this week because we always have the show. Everybody here is welcome to join. And yeah, we're going to be a little dry for the next couple of weeks, but luckily the NBA is going to fill it up. And yes, it's pretty much confirmed. Dwayne Wade, $2.3 million minimum deal to go to the Cavaliers. Easiest path to the finals for him.
And speaking on that note, kind of directly, indirectly, NBA, shout out to LeBron. Shout out to Greg Popovich for what they said about 45. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Shout out to both of those gentlemen. For those who want to talk the sweet science, for those who want to talk music, for those who want to talk fitness with me, you can check me out on personally on Twitter at Brother JR. Well, Brother JR at Brother JR76. As I said to begin the show, if you want to check out anything regarding Pound for Pound Boxing Report, the blog page is the place to go to, p4p.wordpress, p4p boxing report, .wordpress.com. Check the right of the page. You can find the links to the pages and channels on Facebook, on G+, on Twitter, on Tumblr, as well as links to where to listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Player FM for the folks in the UK, as well as Stitcher Radio, as well as Mixcloud. I don't know if I'll have a show next week. Like to Daniel's point, boxing is going to be pretty dry for the next couple of weeks, so I might take advantage of that and take next week off. I'm not sure. I'll just let you know via Twitter and Facebook. But again, I'll let you know. If we're on here, I'll let you know. If we're not going to be on next week, I'll let you know still. So for Gail from Community Digital News, What You Need, for Scorsese, Jacob from the Inscriber, Jacob from Jab Hook, Daniel from the Inscriber. I'm your host, Michael. This has been episode 185 of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. Everybody have a good evening. Good night.
Good night. Shout out to Bo and Gus.
Shout out to Bo and Gus. Yep. Shout out to Bo and Gus. Gus couldn't make it. Bo, he's probably busy with work and whatnot. So shout out to those gentlemen as well.
Yeah, shout out to them. And if you have Show Extreme, in the next 10 minutes, you're going to have John Molina versus Lucas Matisse to look forward to.
One thing before I sign off, thoughts and prayers to the people of Mexico with the earthquake. Thoughts and prayers to the people of Puerto Rico with the hurricane. They're going to need our help, particularly Puerto Rico. Remember, folks, they are U.S. too. It is part of the United States, in case people forgot about it. So, again, shout out to Mexico.
U.S. Virgin Islands as well.
As well.
Yep.
Shout out to Puerto Rico. Shout out to all the Caribbean dealing with not just one, but two hurricanes. Once again,
I'm
episode
seeing Hugh
185.
Hefner has died. Hugh Hefner dead.
You Hefner dead?
Dead.
Wow.
No,
Hey.
man, come on.
Age of 91. ABC News.
Wow.
Oh, well, no. Let it be real ABC News because they do have a page that trolls them.
No, Twitter.
Just make sure now.
Trending hard. Trending hard.
Fuck.
I'm looking it up right now. Give me a second. I know we're still online, but let me look this up. It is true. Breaking news to Scorsese's point. Hugh Hefner has passed away at age 91, being reported by People Magazine and ABC News out of Chicago. NBC News, broke a news story just 5 minutes ago that Hugh Hefner has indeed passed away at age 91. So I hate to end the show on such a down note, but sometimes it goes down like that. So yeah.
Hey, 91's not bad. That's a good long life. So
rest in power, Hugh Hefner.
I wonder how he did it.
Yeah. Who knows?
Hey!
Wow.
Well,
This is the
when you're surrounded by bunnies, you get to live. Yeah. When you're surrounded by that many bunnies, it'll become very entertaining.
Yeah, Hef lived it up. This is not one to mourn. This is one to say, yo, take note. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's funny, man. That's funny.
Oh, indeed. There it is, folks. Episode 185 of Pound for Pound Box Report. Once again, we will see you guys next time. Have a good evening. Good night.
Yes, sir.
good night.